What's up, Internet? Welcome once again to the Free-to-Play Cast. This is episode 381, brought to you by MMOBomb.com, your home for all things free-to-play related. I'm your host, of course, Mike Byrne. And this is, April 9th, 2021. We're doing the show live, of course, twitch.tv/MMOBomb Fridays, 1 p.m. Eastern. You can come be part of the chat, hang out with us, get your opinions on the show. We've got some newer people that have been watching for a while but haven't been able to make the live show today, so welcome to all of them. Hope you'll stop by for both this show and the live streams we do throughout the week on free-to-play games as well. Today we've got a lot of stuff for you, a lot of fun stuff. Path of Exile dropped a ton of information yesterday at their live stream event for both Path of Exile 2 and the Ultimatum season coming up. This season, I always get these wrong, and people get mad at me on YouTube. They got League. That's it. Ultimatum League coming up in about a week, so we'll be going over that. Then we've got some odds and ends, and we've got some first look reviews. Joining me to go over all of it, the curmudgeon himself, Mr. Jason Winter. How are you, sir?
Oh, I haven't had my face photoshopped onto the body of the Hulk this week, so I'm feeling all right. How about you?
Yeah, well, I have had my face photoshopped onto the body of the Hulk this week, so I guess I'm not doing well.
No.
I'm not doing well.
The Hulk is really the ultimate curmudgeon, though. He does hate everything.
Yeah, he does. He does. I guess it's better than having my face photoshopped to the poster of Hocus Pocus, and that has also been done. That has also been done. Because the internet is a weird place. Nobody knows that more than
my face
is Quinlan Bowers. What's up, Q?
Yeah, the weirdest thing I've ever happened is somebody wrote a Game Break or fanfic and put me in it and decided that my persona in it was pregnant. So the internet is really weird.
I think that just needed a moment of silence to percolate so that everybody got to hear that. Somebody wrote fan fiction about Game Breaker staff. That's already a weird sentence to be saying out loud.
I'm glad I left before that happened.
I don't know if y'all
was in it.
I just remember looking at it and going, no, get me away from this.
Oh, God. Time to Photoshop the three of us on Hocus Pocus. That's already been done. That was... You
got to come with something new.
You got to do something
Except
new.
It was you, Shaffnet.
It was me, Shaffnet, and Zach. Kiggles. From After Dark. Yeah.
Oh, it was for After Dark, wasn't it?
It was for After Dark. It was Kiggles, Shaffnet, and myself. On that note, let's go do the damn news. Yeah, Guardian Vale says some people have way too much time. Yeah. But who are we to judge? We're going to take an hour sitting here talking about free-to-play games for everybody. So, life can't be too bad when you have that kind of time. And sometimes it's flattering, sometimes it's weird. All right, so first up, let's start with the big news this week. Path of Exile, in particular, Path of Exile 2, right? Everybody's been kind of waiting for Path of Exile 2 news for a while. We knew that we weren't likely to see a beta or anything until 2022 at this point. We were hopeful the end of 2021, but, COVID and other staffing up situations led to a 2022 forecast for it. But we did get to see some of it yesterday on a live stream. But first, Jason, you got to see this ahead of time in a limited press event for a few different sites. You like Path of Exile. You like grinding gear games. You've worked with Chris on many a piece, Chris Wilson, over the years on many a piece. They try to bribe us with candy. That's not going to work. You sure?
Are you sure?
I'm sure, guys. We cannot accept grinding gear games as candy. Stop.
Really?
No candy. Going in, what did you expect to see? What did you actually see? And what were some of your takeaways there from the press event itself? Which really, if I understood right, was you saw the live stream presentation like a day before everybody. It wasn't like any hands-on demos or anything like that.
Yeah, 2 days before, really, but whatever. And then we got to do some Q&A afterwards. That was the only like unique part, but otherwise it was basically the same presentation they put out yesterday, both Path of Exile 2 and the other league, which we'll get to in a bit. But I mean, going in, I just expected kind of like what we got at ExileCon, which was going to be, here's some shiny gameplay demo to distract you from the fact that it's still at least a year away. We haven't talked about this for a while. Here's some more stuff to look at. Hope you enjoy it. And I feel like that's what we got. I didn't watch the actual presentation, see what other kind of Q&A they might have done. I think they did some afterwards.
Yeah, they did.
But yeah, what I saw looked good. I mean, it looks really nice. I even mentioned in the article that they had us, they told us, make sure, because the video thing we're using is a little weird, make sure it's on 1080p. So we made sure to set that. Then when we went to watch the stuff from the original game, I checked again to make sure I was still at 1080p because I could tell the difference in the graphic quality between
PoE 2 and the original.
Yeah.
And that's funny because in the original, you're looking at its most up-to-date content, too. It's not like you were comparing PoE 2 to the original launch of PoE 2 and the initial tutorial zone. You would think the gap wouldn't be as wide. Yes, there would still be a little bit of a gap because they're limited by the engine of the original, but you wouldn't think the gap would be that big. But you called that out in your piece that it was extremely noticeable. And we're watching the trailer for Path of Exile 2 right now, and it does look phenomenal.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I have the actual, the whole gameplay thing down embedded at the bottom if you want to switch to that, but you probably haven't set that up. But
no, I did not load a 40-minute presentation into XSplit for the free-to-play cast.
Right. I don't know how that works on your technical side of mumbo jumbo.
Well, we would never show anything more than like 40 seconds to 2 minutes of it, so that it really doesn't hold a purpose. Okay. But Q, you are a dabbler in Path of Exile. You've extremely played it like every day for a while and then jumped away for a little bit and then back to it. And you have some friends that or some past friends that are very, very, very much into it. Are you excited about PoE 2?
So the reason
Oh, no, I was talking to Q.
Me, or are you talking about? Oh, I'm sorry. Never mind. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, we'll come back to you, Jason. Don't worry. Like you still have stuff.
Okay,
you still have stuff to say on the show. It's fine.
But I think what happened is you just literally described both our experiences.
Yeah, pretty much.
It's the same experience. Yeah, no, I was sitting there watching it. And I was like, this does look really cool. Of course, it's always fun because the other thought in my head was you put some really good music and that super deep trailer dude voice on it, and everything just seems way more epic.
Everything just gets better.
It just all seems super epic. Right? But yeah, I was sitting there watching, and just based on the description, I like the thing with the moving caravan that Jason was describing in the article and all of that stuff. It seems really cool. I did question a little but I mean, I've obviously played some Path of Exile. I've never actually gotten to in-game because, as you said, I dabble.
Yeah.
And I try to go back and do the leagues, and I always fail at the leagues because I don't know. I should just play through to in-game at some point. But the whole just jumping into the other one, so I'm guessing there's nothing you're going to miss by just doing
this was an interesting piece that you included in your article, and Jason, and I recommend anybody go and check out Jason's thoughts. Yes, if you watch the stream, you probably have all the informational bits that are in Jason's piece, but there's a lot of side commentary from questions and thoughts that Jason brings up that Chris Wilson expressed, or Jason or other press asked, that I recommend you read. Check it out. It's on the site mmobomb.com. Jason, that was one of the ones I took away as being a little more interesting. Like, we knew Path of Exile and Path of Exile 2 were going to be bumping up into the same client, right? And that Path of Exile 2 is has all the original acts in it as well. Like, you can play everything you need to play right now in the game. You'll be able to play when Path of Exile 2 comes, with the exception of content that comes and goes with the leagues. But the main act storylines you'll be able to do. But the recommendation from the team was, hey, if you're new or you're somebody like me, right? I played Path of Exile like crazy for a long time, and then I didn't play it at all for a very long time. And right now, it's very daunting for me to jump back into Path of Exile 2 because so many new systems have been added, taken away, modified, all that stuff, that I liked the advice of, if you're new or you're like magicman, right, and just coming back after a long time, just go play 2. You'll have access to all the story stuff you need, and that's going to be the experience that even Grinding Gear Games is saying, that's the experience we want you to have. Go to Path of Exile 2.
The funny thing is, the thing I think about is you should just skip to play the PSO2 New Genesis. Don't bother playing PSO2.
Yeah, right?
That's the feeling I get, because it's going to be better, and that's what they say.
Not only is it going to be better, but it'll have
well,
you just go to the block tower and you can go and play the PSO2 stuff if you want to. We got the same thing going on here.
Yeah. He said that was what he said. I was actually surprised to hear that too when someone asked in chat, like, if I'm new to the game, do I need to play 1 to get into 2? And he's like, no. In fact, you probably should just play 2, because as I said, it was designed in a different way. Like as you said, they were just, as you said, I think, quote, guys just out of university when they were making Path of Exile 1. So it was rough around the edges. It's taken them, 10 years or whatever to get it into what they think is pretty good shape. But now they have, a design process. They've got money. They've got a bigger team. He really likes how they're making Path of Exile 2 and thinks that's going to be really the superior product going forward.
They did give a shout out, by the way. So, like, if you're ever curious, we've talked about this before. How are they making enough? Like, we know they sell ridiculous packs, and every time new leagues come out and stuff, and we're like, somebody's got to be buying those, or they still wouldn't keep making them. But I ain't spending $1,500 on a Path of Exile pack. That's a mortgage payment. That is not a Path of Exile video game pack for me. But they did shout out that, hey, these bundles, by the way, thank you for continuing to buy them, because these are the only reason we're able to build the game. So, yeah, those of you that are, God bless you. If you're buying those things, the rest of us, we're riding on your coattails and enjoying a hell of a game on your dime, and we very much appreciate it. Q, you mentioned the hub here. Now, this is very traditionally ARPG, whether that be Diablo, the original Path of Exile, or whatever. You got the hub city, and you kind of port around from place to place to place and go do your things. I kind of like this, and I know Jason said it in his piece too. I know there's no real difference here. Like, your main hub is a mobile train. It is moving, a caravan. It is moving through the world. So when you're going to get off the train to go to a certain place, lore-wise, story-wise, for your character, they have taken the caravan there, and you have gotten off. From a software development standpoint, you ported from one area to another is exactly what happened. But it's those like small things, and the caravan, I shouldn't say a small thing. The caravan is quite impressive, actually. But it's those small touches that I think elaborate on Chris's point of, hey, we created an ARPG as a team of people just out of university, and now a team of people that are thinking more about not just getting a game off the ground, but the small things that get you really immersed in a game. That's the kind of stuff that has me the most excited for PoE too, I think.
Yeah, and it's just like, the thing I really like about ARPGs, right? I mean, yeah, it's just fun to go bash some things with a sword or whatever and get your loot for it and all of that jazz, but it's always the story content that keeps me in ARPGs, just like, well, any kind of RPG really. So the fact that they do add these little, touches that make it feel like it's not quite as disconnected or whatever, like you're actually interacting with the world instead of just like, okay, I'm here, now I'm going there, but I'm just going to hop over or whatever. Like, yeah, logically, that's exactly what you're doing, but making it not feel that way, it is a really nice thing to have. And of course, when you now have 150 people versus however many people they started with back in the day, it's a little easier to do those kinds of things. So
yeah, Old Glory asking in chat, do they get money from Tencent? Yes, they do. They were acquired by Tencent, but if you look back, they weren't acquired by Tencent until 2018. So there was a long time where they were operating independently with basically the league packs being the primary income. And, of course, cosmetics and shit in-game. Everybody wants wings in that damn game.
And, of course, they have to pay money to Tencent now.
Right.
So that's,
right.
They get part of the money.
Yeah.
So
Tencent owns, I think it's 80-some% of the company, something like that. Yeah, their primary owner. And Chris Wilson, I think, is number 2 with a single-digit percentage ownership underneath there, something like that. Jason, we're getting new weapons too. Those were shown off. I think 2 of them, the crossbow and like a spear or a trident or something.
Spear.
What'd you think?
I think they look cool, and I think that it's going to be so. Even for me, from being someone who didn't really get into like the really hardcore stuff of Path of Exile, they're providing enough little things like this that are going to maybe want to jump into it and try it a little different, just to see something different other than just it's going to be an area. There's going to be more stuff to fight, and you're going to just have the loot drops again. It's going to be the same old. At least by adding this, they're adding some sort of new. And of course, they showed off like the shapeshifter, the werewolf thing in the earlier one, but you need more than just one shtick, I think, if you're doing a new game like this. So it's cool they're adding new weapons, having some inherent skills within them and some synergies that'll work with that. So that's a cool way for them to go.
And that kind of, Q, you had mentioned everybody likes the story. I love the story too in ARPGs. Like if I'm gaming, like sitting here Rocket League, right, I got Netflix or something on the other monitor. When I'm sitting here playing Outriders, I got nothing on the other monitor, because I'm watching this.
Exactly.
Right, like I'm watching the story. It's a Path of Exile very much the same way for me. But if you watch the stream, we're in the minority because when they were showing the clips of the caravan moving and they were showing the initial quest selections before they got out into the world and started using the new weapons, all chat, there was like 150,000 people in chat, by the way, watching that stream. So yeah, that's where they're making their money. It just kept scrolling.
They're just running ads during the stream.
Exactly.
That's making all their money.
It kept scrolling chat. All it was saying was hit spacebar, go. Like nobody wanted to hear anything that these characters were saying. They were like, just get off this caravan and get into the world and show me some shit. I don't want to see what these characters are saying because they let the voiceovers play for all of it. But we're going to be waiting a little while, Jason, on the last point here before we move on to the Ultimatum League starting next week. Path of Exile 2 not only slipping into 2022, which we had rumors of earlier this year or late in 2021 or mid 2021, I should say, but now slipping fully out of 2021 into 2022.
Yeah, that was one of my predictions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not even a beta.
Oh well.
Not even a beta.
No. Doesn't even sound like it. So
yeah, and previous to this, it wasn't confirmed. Chris Wilson had said things like the beginning of 2022 seems more likely or more probable or more accurate. Like he had made statements like that throughout 2021 so far, but now it's confirmed 2022 for even a beta. But in the meantime, if you're a Path of Exile fan, you've got the Ultimatum update coming 1 week from today. The Ultimatum League starting next Friday, April 16th. This kind of going into the Trial Master being the key marquee piece of content here, where you could put it all on the line. Go beat up some baddies, get some rewards, and do you want to risk it for some harder baddies, but maybe get better rewards? And when you get those, do you want to risk it? It sounds like a gamble that's going to be fun to watch on Twitch, according to Grinding Gear Games, Jason. They're looking very much forward to seeing who takes this a little too far and loses it all. How does the whole Ultimatum League work?
So basically, you'll run into the Trial Master, and he will give you a challenge to do, usually some sort of like little arena where you have to fight a bunch of stuff. You have to kill monsters, kill a certain number of monsters and not die in the process. If you succeed on that, he'll give you a prize. Or he can offer you a better prize, but you'll have to keep fighting with some additional modifier, some sort of negative modifier that makes it harder. So you can choose to quit, or you can just go ahead and try to do more. And if you succeed on that, again, you can quit, or you can try to do more with a harder modifier. And this will go on for basically as long as you want, or until you die, in which case you lose everything you might have gained before. It makes me feel like it's some sort of game show.
Yeah.
Like I swear there's been like a like it feels like a maybe not like Let's Make a Deal, but something kind of like that.
Right.
I swear there's been some game show where they have to keep waiting. Oh, it's How to Millionaire, the Millionaire Show. Yeah.
Yeah. Who wants to be a millionaire? Yeah. Do you want to risk it all?
That's exactly what this is. Yeah.
Do you want to?
And you can't call in a lifeline to help you fight.
Here's the
$500,000
$500,000 question, Q. Here we go. Also, I mean, the leagues usually bring about tons of loot changes and rewards changes, one of which, a previous change, still has a little bit of a bad taste in some players' mouth, but Chris Wilson told you guys, Jason, that, yeah, we're comfortable with that change. We had to make that change. Our last league was maybe a little too rewarding initially.
Yeah. I specifically asked about the Harvest League, which had been brought up a couple weeks ago and had gotten a really unpleasant response on the forums to the note of it. Basically, the Harvest League is they're buffing loot almost across all their league content that's in the base game, but one of the exceptions is the Harvest League, which we're going to nerf a little bit. And he said, we pitched it too powerful when we introduced it to the game, and pretty much any way of getting good items is only through that system. And that makes sense. You want to take that out because you want people to play the real game and get better drops throughout the world than all the other stuff. But of course, he understands that people are sad. As you said, people are losing their toys now. They're not just doing that one easy content to get the great loot, so they're going to be really ticked off about it. But what can you do? You got to do it.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense, Q. In the short term, yeah, it feels kind of bad. We've seen other MMOs and stuff do this, particularly with like level shrinks and number stat squishes and stuff like that. Nobody ever wants to feel less powerful than they were, but you got to look out for the long-term health of the game, and this was not a healthy situation, I think.
Well, and like I said, if pretty much that's what you're doing is this one feature to get all your stuff, you're not touching the rest of the game. You're just, ignoring it just to do this one thing repeatedly, which isn't all that much when you consider how much, like there's so much in Path of Exile just from all the leagues that they had and they kept. I mean, there's some, right, that got just trashed, but
it's
there's
daunting.
Just so much in there that you're missing out on.
Like every time I see one of these new leagues coming out, right? I read your article before the stream yesterday, Jason. Then I went and watched the stream because you were out, and I wanted to make sure, I was watching this to see if there was anything that needed to be added, and then to make sure our piece got pushed as soon as the Q&A started. We were allowed to push our information. And like I read this, and I'm like, God, I want to play this. But man, when I boot it up, I'm going to be in Act 1 because I have no idea where my characters are at any point. I am like months away. By the time I am able to do anything in Ultimatum, it will be over. We will be another league ahead. So I'm kind of looking forward to the jump in at Path of Exile 2 entry point. I was very relieved when Chris Wilson said, hey, yeah, go play 2 when it comes out. Because it is a game I love, but it is not one that I have a ton of time to play. And it is one that kind of requires that. It kind of has to be your game if you want to be playing the newest leagues when they come out. It has to be for you. It has to be my Final Fantasy 14, right? Or my WoW. I'm always playing the cutting edge stuff there because those are my games. And there's not enough time to jam a third one in there. So we'll see how Path of Exile 2 sticks. Next week, next Friday, for Ultimatum for you Path of Exile players, Path of Exile 2 next year. Let's move on and talk about some odds and ends. These are just 3 really, like, kind of not really game news. They're just out there news. So this week, Twitch announced plans to address off-service misconduct. So this one's kind of a bit divisive on Twitter and on other social media. So what they're going to be doing is they're going to take off-stream behavior and break it into 2 categories. The first addressing harassment on Twitch that carries over into maybe other social media or email or anything like that. The second addresses serious offenses that pose a substantial safety risk to the Twitch community, even if these actions occur entirely off Twitch. This second category includes, but is not permanently limited to, the following: deadly violence and extremism, terrorist activities, explicit and or credible threats of mass violence, leadership or membership in a known hate group, carrying out or acting as an accomplice to non-consensual sexual activities and or sexual assault, sexual exploitation of children, including grooming and solicitation of underage sexual materials, actions that would directly and explicitly compromise the physical safety of the Twitch community, such as threatening violence at a Twitch event, explicit and or credible threats against Twitch, including Twitch staff. They've also brought in a third-party investigative arm because they realize that these two categories do have some overlap with potentially what if it's a Twitch employee doing this. They also understand that, you know, we can't really be digging into this stuff to the extent that we might need to. We want to, you know, don't want to taint an investigation by inserting ourselves into it. So they've hired a third-party law firm to do these types of investigations. And there's kind of some mixed thoughts about this one, Q. One, nothing that we read on that list is stuff that should be just like, that's your own business stuff, right? Like, no. If you're domestic, you know, threatening domestic terrorism, that is not something that is, well, that's Jason's business, man, and I'm staying out of Jason's. No. You're threatening lives and shit. But then the other camp is, if you have policies that aren't limited to and maybe vague in some regards and things like this, there is concern from some people, Q, that hey, Twitch doesn't really have the right to be investigating my private life off of their service or moderating or punishing me on their service for things that I haven't done that in any way, shape, or form involve their service. So a bit of a dichotomy on the social media right now.
Yeah, I mean, and that's always going to be kind of the opinions, you know, like you said, the people who are like, well, it's just not Twitch's business or whatever, and then the people there are people who are like, hey, this is actually, you know, because it can get really out of hand, right? And we've seen it, you know, just crazy ass stuff that people on Twitch do, and it does carry over into social media or whatever. But then there are those other people who have Twitch accounts or Twitch, and I think the biggest deal is probably, even though they didn't explicitly state it, actual Twitch streamers behaving, because with the whole partnership and everything, right? Like, they're financially associated with you.
Yeah.
Right? You're a Twitch streamer, you're kind of a face of Twitch. And so if you're a Twitch streamer and you're associated with them in a business-like format, and then you go over to Twitter and you make death threats against somebody, that reflects on them, kind of thing, right? It's like if, you know, your boss sees you out, you know, doing something in public that just looks really bad for the company, and then you come in Monday and find out you're fired.
Right, but Jason, to that point,
Kind of
it's a
thing.
fair point, but to that point, you've never entered into any type of agreement with Twitch that you are a representative of their brand, or that you have to, like, you adhere to a terms of service, right? When you use their service, you're not going to, if you go and you start spouting hate speech on Twitch platform, they're going to ban you, right? Nobody expects any different in that type of situation. But you don't sign on to be a representative of Twitch's brand knowingly as an affiliate, right? Or even a smaller partner. You know, maybe those big dogs that get the special Twitch contracts, you know, back in the day, Dr. Disrespect having his specific contract, now no longer there, of course. That's different than just your typical streamer that may be affiliate or partner and making a couple of bucks that looks at this and may go, wait a minute, you don't really, yeah, I'm not doing any of this stuff, and I don't think anybody that's doing this type of stuff should be on Twitch, but you don't really have the right to take punitive action against me on your platform unless I have done something on your platform that deserves punitive punishment.
Nope, you're completely wrong.
I'm not saying that that's my
And
view.
the reason
I'm not saying that's my viewpoint.
Oh,
By
I
the way.
know, but if you were arguing that, I'd say you're completely wrong. So because you're maybe not the face of Twitch or a Twitch representative or whatever, but even if you're like, you know, to use the example of being someone at your workplace. Yeah, okay, if you're the vice president and you do something terrible, yeah, you're obviously the face of that company, you're gonna get screwed over, you're gonna get fired or whatever. But even if you're like a part-time warehouse worker or whatever, and you do some of this stuff, they might fire you because you sexually harass someone out of your day job or out of your away from your day job or whatever. That's perfectly fine. You don't have to be a representative of the company.
We see it in the
They can
news
just
all the
decide
time. X person fired
Yeah.
because they, put this up on their personal Facebook. And
Yeah. And the thing of it is too is like you're basically everyone who works, or everyone who's got an agreement with Twitch, whether affiliate or even I think affiliate partner, and probably even like people who don't make any money on them, they're basically independent contractors. That's the same situation that essentially I am with Mobom. And if away from the stream I do something terrible or whatever, you can say, Jason, you're not going to be on the show anymore. You're not going to be working for the site anymore. That's totally fine. You have that right. Twitch has that same right with anybody who works for them, basically. So I have no problem with them.
But I don't
taking these
think
kind of
many
measures.
people are arguing against them having the right to do this. I think most people are arguing that having third-party investigations taking place that you may not be aware of is in fact a violation of your own privacy to some extent, would be an argument some are making. The other argument, I think, stems from the whole Twitch has never really done anything right. What makes you think they're going to do this right? What makes you think they could pull this off and not have multiple streamers caught in the crossfire of something, or Q, having the system abused because you make an allegation against me, now I'm under investigation, and that allegation is totally false. Like, whatever the allegation is, never happened. Or what's the burden of proof, right? There's different burdens of proof for different situations, even in our own legal system. What's the burden of proof here on my conduct and what you are accusing me of doing? Do you have to have a tweet that expressly says, very racist things to say, you know what, you got to be out? How do you prove I'm a member of an organization that your policies say I can't be involved with? Like, this gets sticky. It definitely gets sticky. And when you have a sticky situation coming from a company that doesn't generally have the best record of handling sticky situations, I can absolutely see some concern there, Q.
No, that is a fair point. I do think, from the way they described it in their write-up, the point of them having those lawyers, the third party people, right? One thing that they stated made it sound like that they're going to notify you if you're being investigated. They're not just going to randomly
it does say that if they're able to, if it won't compromise the investigation by communicating with you.
But I mean, I would hope that, because and I see it on Twitter all the time. You'll see it happens a lot with Twitch streamers and YouTubers in the gaming space specifically, where I don't know, at least once a month, maybe a little bit less, maybe a little bit more, I turn around and it's like, oh, streamer YouTuber X was, here's all the proof of how they, were soliciting pictures from me and everything when I was a minor, right? Everybody just starts dropping that kind of stuff. Screen caps and, I don't know, audio logs, whatever. Right. So, I mean, I feel like in those cases, it wouldn't be that hard for them to just, like, if somebody already submitted the evidence to them, which is usually how I see this stuff happening. Like, when it finally comes out, it's just a whole bunch of people dropping a whole bunch of evidence, rather than somebody just saying, oh, this happened, and then you never hear anything about it
Whole
again.
Milk in chat, kind of going right along with the concerns we're talking about. I think we need to see how far Twitch takes this. So far, the criteria of off-platform misconduct is a no-brainer. There's like nothing on that list that I think any reasonable person wouldn't be like, yeah, you probably shouldn't be on social medias if this is the type of stuff you're spouting. But Twitch is terrible at this stuff, and I'm willing to bet these rules are enforced unevenly, and the largest streamers will probably be given a fair amount of slack in order to keep those dollars rolling in. And I can't look at Whole Milk in the eyes and say, no, you're totally wrong there, because they're not.
That's how Twitch has always been. That's right, because even like you said, Dr. Disrespect, right? Like, you would have thought it would have been the incident at TwitchCon that got him booted. You would have thought that would have been what made it permanent, but it wasn't, right? He, like a month or two or whatever later, he's back doing his thing. and and then other people just kind of disappear. Like you're not even sure what they did and they're gone. So yeah, it's just that is a really fair assessment that Twitch is not good at this kind of stuff. Like I agree with everything on this list.
Let us know how.
And
sorry, go ahead.
and the fact that they pretty much stopped, like the reason I put not permanently limited is because they basically said this is the stuff that we can handle, this is the stuff that makes the most sense. We may add other things because it is a really weird space, but it's not going to happen until we get this under control.
Yep.
Kind of deal.
And we're also seeing the freedom of speech argument. God damn it. Are you kidding me? Ladies and gentlemen, if you live in the United States, it works like this, whether you like it or not. We can have a debate on whether it should be opened up to all different things. That's fine. But freedom of speech basically boils down to a very simple question. Are you being detained or in any way pinned by your speech by the federal government of the United States? If the answer to that question is yes, then yeah, your freedom of speech may be being violated. If the answer to that question is no, your free speech isn't being violated. Twitter can boot you for whatever reason. They are under no obligation, besides maybe a moral or ethical obligation by the people that own a platform and run it, where they're committed to, you can say whatever you want, we're total free speech here. These individual platforms owe you nothing on that front. They owe you nothing on that front. We can have an argument, and I may agree or disagree with you on whether they should or not. I'm not giving you an opinion here. I'm just simply telling you they're under no obligation to allow you to say whatever the hell you want. That's not how the freedom of speech amendment works.
Now wait until some game decides that some shooter decides he's going to take all the guns out of its game. People talk about the Second Amendment on that.
I mean, we could totally debate whether you should be able to say whatever you want on Twitter. That's a debate we can have. But legally,
I don't want to go into that because that'll be another 3 hours.
Legally speaking, they are under no obligation.
Point out that if you take all the guns out of a shooter, it is no longer a shooter.
It's a grabber stabber.
Yeah, there you go. It's grabber grabber. There you go.
Speaking of other fun topics, Jason, we got more Lootbox stuff here. Guess what? They're gambling, right?
Yeah. Again, someone in the UK is recommending that Lootboxes are gambling. It should be looked into.
Structurally.
Oh, sorry. Excuse me. Oh man, I just nodded off there for a moment.
In the year 2035.
We are keeping...
Yet another study will come out.
We are keeping our eye on a situation in Brazil, though, where there actually could be legislation put forward on the table to ban these types of things and look at it a little more holistically so that companies don't just find the next great almost loot box, but not loot box by the new law's definition thing, too. So we'll be watching that, whether something comes out of it or not. But yeah.
That is the one good thing that I thought came out of the study. They said, quote, in a rapidly evolving world of video gaming, legislation against loot boxes is liable to be quickly rendered anachronistic. Basically saying that if you make some law against loot boxes, they're going to come up with something else.
Yep.
It's not a loot box, it's a loot pack.
Yep.
Oh,
it's a booster pack.
It's a surprise mechanic.
It's a surprise mechanic. EA. I don't even understand this one, Jason. I had to reread this like 4 times because the headline... Tencent axes Honor of Kings partnership over cotton boycott. Like, what does that sentence even mean?
So
see those words together.
Yeah, there you go. Words and stuff. So Honor of Kings is a Tencent very popular MOBA, and they had an agreement with a British fashion house called Burberry to put versions of their beautiful clothes in skins for some character, some female character. But that got knocked off. They quit that partnership because apparently Burberry is boycotting the region of China that the cotton for their clothes comes from, because of supposedly forced labor camps being used there. So because Burberry boycotted that, it's difficult to say whether it was Tencent or the Chinese government that kind of said,
it's
hey,
also very
knock it off.
allegedly this is, the reason things happen. They didn't issue a statement and were like, hey, because of this boycott, we're taking this out of here. It's just kind of the most sensical out of the situation. That is,
but I'm not upset because the Burberry China representative, when they were talking about the deal originally, said it would allow our Chinese customers to explore virtual products through the medium of online games so that we can connect with our communities in a way that really resonates with them.
Yeah, so I'm not even sure if I wanted this or would have been okay with this stuff in games anyway, Q. Setting the whole boycott and being taken out, I don't want... We're going to talk about monetization in a second when we talk about a first look review before we head over to the weekly bombs. But yeah, I don't need to be seeing my character in Final Fantasy running around with the 2021 Old Navy line.
Wow, that is a terrible idea.
I mean, that's basically the idea here, though, was putting...
Sure.
I mean, so, yeah, no, the entire thing is a terrible idea to me, and the whole association of clothing lines, any clothing lines, right? Like the jackets with the League of Legends jackets that whatever big fashion house made. I can't even remember which one it was. Right? But they're not in-game. These are real-world things. It's like, okay, well, they're ugly in the real world. And they're super freaking expensive, and I could be spending that money, I don't know, on the game.
Maybe.
Maybe. Or on a PC or whatever. But, I mean... I don't know. And even just looking at this Burberry outfit, that is the one that's like, guys, just go ahead and design your own character's clothes because it always looks way cooler. And I'm not shopping for clothes in an MMO. I'm sitting here in a t-shirt and jeans, just, like eating lunch and playing a freaking game. I don't need to know what the latest fashion is from, England or France or whatever. Really don't.
Sagra, going back to the whole Twitter thing, isn't that clear anymore, Mike? Twitter was legally made a public forum in certain circumstances. Former President Trump was given a court order that he couldn't block people on Twitter because he was using Twitter to share government info. Well, yes, because they have to have access to the information there. There is an argument that because of that, Twitter has to be... Oh, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. There is an argument to be had, and that was my entire point. I'm not even expressing an opinion on this one. If you want to have the argument, you can have the argument. But legally, as things stand right now, you are under no obligation to be given free reign as far as what you can say on any platform, whether it be Twitter or whatever. So, Nasagra, valid point. There is definitely an argument to be had.
And the court order for Trump was about what Trump was doing, not about what Twitter is doing. Trump could have given everybody that information through press conferences and, like traditionally, but he decided that Twitter was where he was going to issue all his government information, therefore.
And we're not going to get into that. My whole point was they're under no obligation legally right now. Whether you think that's right or not, that's an entire separate discussion, and we can certainly have that.
But here's a question I have about the outfits now. How is this any different than Fortnite doing NFL outfits?
Yeah, it's dumb there too. It's stupid there too.
But if they have a popular brand they want people to dress up in, then people want to pay money for that. Fine. I just don't know that an English fashion house is that popular in China. I guess I don't. maybe it is.
Well, I guess maybe it's popular because the cotton comes from China.
Maybe.
Well, no, except it doesn't. That's the point.
Well, but Hong
point.
Kong, right? Hong Kong was under England so a lot of their stuff probably did come, like their clothing and stuff probably had English influence. So.
Personally, I think it's kind of a neat looking outfit. I wouldn't mind having that on a character. I like.
How about you only get it for a limited time, though?
Shut up.
I hate that stuff. Mounts, pets, everything that limited time, you get it for a week. Bullshit. Stop that.
Jason, shut up.
You want to be more of a curmudgeon?
Is that possible?
All right, for a little first look review before we finish up today, we've got Super Mecha Champions. We put the first look video up a few days ago. This is a PC port of a popular mobile game, a generally well-reviewed mobile game. It is a battle royale primarily. There are a few other modes in it. There's a team deathmatch. Don't play it. It's absolute cancer. It's just horrendous, the spawn camping and everything. If you want to play it as a battle royale, fine. The big mechanic here is that you can jump in and out of a mech at various points throughout the match and have big mech battles, and there's lots of mechs and customization and pilots and customization and notifications and store stuff and buy stuff and click here, tap, 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 tap.
Breathe.
I'm going to sum this up. Ronald and I were having a conversation on YouTube in the comments about this. In the video, I called this aggressive monetization. But I didn't spend a ton of time on monetization. So let me spend a moment here. Good games, or what could be good game. Right there, I could see through the wall, so this isn't a great game. Good games aren't or can be ruined by monetization. That's not to say that this is a good game. There is some fun to be had here. It's janky. And I don't think it's going to get any better. I think they're just like port it and done, but hopefully it'll get a little better. There is some fun to be had here, but it has 100% mobile monetization. You will be tapping notifications everywhere. There will be 700 different currencies to buy different things and grinds that are limited on a weekly basis for you to actually acquire things in-game. Yeah, you can buy a mech with in-game gold. 20,000 gold. Cool, I played like 5 matches, accrued 3,000 to 5,000 gold. That's not too bad. Great. Oh, I'm capped on the gold that I can accrue per week to 4,000. So even if I play those matches, it's going to take 5 weeks for me to get a mech. It is 100% ruined, garbage monetization. If you want to try it because you like mechs and you like battle royales, and yeah, it's a little janky and you're fine with that going into it, more power to you. You can do worse than Super Mecha Champions. But 100% unequivocally, for me, this got uninstalled right after the first look because the monetization is egregious. It is terrible. And if you play it, I would recommend that you don't spend a dime. Ronald pointed out to me, he was like, yeah, hey, the reason these make money is because sites like you do videos like this that bring eyeballs to it. And yeah, there's a certain argument where Ronald was going with that I can understand the argument. Ultimately, it doesn't need our videos to be making millions. It's because people buy the damn things. Stop buying them! This is horrible. It's a decent game that had the opportunity to maybe get better with some few patches that I'm not all that confident they do anyway. That is just ruined by monetization that I cannot support in any way, shape, or form. It got uninstalled very quickly. Jason, what do you think of the game?
So this is that Apex Legends thing they're doing with adding the mechs, right? That's what this is.
That was somebody else that I was talking to on YouTube as well. They were like Apex Legends, and I was like, I replied to them and said, yeah, and if they add mechs like it looks like they might, Apex for the win.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. It looks kind of neat. I like the concept. I like the idea. But yeah, just the execution is bleh. Just bleh.
Yep. Q.
I mean, I had fun watching it. I obviously wouldn't play it anyway because it's a battle royale.
Also, I swear, there's no way those were like 90% bots because some of them just would stand there.
I'm sure many of them were. Yeah. Some of them were actual people. They would spectate me after they were dead, but I'm sure there was a lot of bots. Again, I was in Bronze League. I was only like Bronze 2, I think, at that time I recorded the match. I played 5 matches. And I victory royaled all 5 of them. So yeah, I am sure a high percentage of the 100 people in the game were bots to begin with. But it is just one of those gross dopamine hit type games. Like you come out of a match and there are 9 notifications giving you 15 different currencies, so you feel good about getting prizes every 30 seconds. So that, oh, look, you're short by 80, Jason. You should probably just top off and buy those other 80. It's one of those gross
That
games.
reminded me of when I played Blood of Steel. Popping out of a match, getting 800 things pop up to say, hey, you got this, and this. Yeah.
Good game, or what could be a good game. It's not a good game right now. It's, for crying out loud, I was able to go down iron sights and use it to see through walls, for God's sake.
And here's the thing. It won't be.
I don't think it will be either,
It'll never be any better. It's
a neat
a mobile
idea.
game. They slopped it onto PC, and they're going to try to make some money out of it, and that's the end of the development cycle.
That's it.
I mean, it is a neat idea, but like, and I enjoyed watching the mechs. Although, sort of got at one point, it took me a while to figure out that one of the mechs you were shooting wasn't ragdolling; it was just jumping like erratically, which seems like weird behavior for a freaking mech. That's like it
was
looks
very
heavy,
agile,
but it's just like boing, boing.
It was very agile. Let's slide over to the weekly bombs. Yeah, I'm going to go first. A-Bomb to Super Mecha Champions could have been okay, but it needs more polish, and the monetization is just an absolute no-go from me. Absolute no-go. Go ahead, Jason.
I'm going to give an A-Bomb to the Overwatch Archives event. Don't like how they're making you do the PvE missions over and over to get the stuff for the skins and whatnot. I get that it does make it kind of easier because you only have to win like a handful of those to get everything you need for the week instead of winning like 9 matches, but they're just boring after a while. I don't know if I'm going to complete it all because it's just bleh.
Cute.
I'm going to give a bomb to another Eden the Cat Beyond Time and Space because I've been playing the crap out of that game. For those that don't know, it's if you liked Chrono Trigger, some of the same people who worked on Chrono Trigger worked on this, and it's a turn-based JRPG with some of the same elements, the time travel back and forth. Only it involves cats, and eventually you get to start collecting the cats that you meet in a thing. But it's just really fun, and there's the whole, remember Chrono Trigger had that whole slew of characters that you meet along the way that you just slowly add to your thing. Well, this one does have the gotcha thing, but it's not really gotcha that you have to pay for. You don't even think about it. You just get the little points and you just add more characters to your lineup, but you always, of course, end up fighting with the same, 4 to 8 characters anyway, so it doesn't matter at all. But it's a lot of fun.
It actually has Frog.
It does. It has the Jurassic girl that was
Aria.
Yeah, there's one like her. And then hilariously, there's a character that I keep in my party all the time that looks like a cast from PSO2. So, but it's got a really nice wide lineup of characters.
Sweet. From chat, to bomb to Super Mecha Champions. Tried it out, played 3 times. First, second, and first. You got a second? Get good. Placed and on average 12 kills. There are tons of bots, or I'm esports ready. As anime fan, mechs were cool looking. Yeah.
I'm about to say, wait a second, you shouldn't read Old Glory's non-highlighted messages. What are you doing?
A-Bomb to Super Mecha Champions.
Same thing. Jeez.
It could be standalone game on PC with better performance and box price instead of that mobile market crap. Also agree there too, Old Glory. Whole Milk to Bomb to Grinding Gear Games and Path of Exile. Path of Exile 2 looks dope. A-Bomb to Twitch, Big Dumb, my shortest bombs ever. Guardian Veil to Bomb to the Triple G, the Grinding Gear Games presentation. And to Outriders, a satisfying looter shooter. Ninja Panda, question, has the skill passives map on PoE 2 been simplified or still all over the place? I don't think we've seen the skill passives map in PoE 2 yet.
I don't think so.
Big Boy Glitch, A-Bomb to 19-hour drives. Hope your aunt is okay on that front, by the way. Terra Nova, Da-Bomb to for Genshin Impact PS5 announcement. Yep, later this year. Rickshaw says, it was like hearing death words and blood running down the walls. No, sorry, man, this dude does not use a controller. In my recommendation on last week's show that you must play Magic Legends with a controller.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Jason.
C-Swag says, I was in the shower when you asked the audience if they were naked. The answer was most definitely yes. I've been doing this for years. Wait, you've been showering for years, or you've been showering while we're doing the cast? I mean, the first part, okay, fine, but if you always shower when we're doing the cast, that is a little weird.
Well, I mean, the internet is a weird place. Go ahead, Q.
I thought I saw C-Swag in chat earlier, so I don't know if... I
No,
don't know.
C-Swag's
I
not
don't
in chat. I just checked the chat. Looks like C's
know. Okay.
gone. Probably in the shower. Go ahead, Q.
Pregner Catalan, it's pretty cold here. No way anyone is naked. Don't cold places have those, what is it, polar bear groups?
Or
don't cold places
have
those,
houses
buildings
with like heat?
No. Don't they like those guys that like to go swim
I've heard of that.
in icy lakes?
Yeah.
Those weird people.
Marco Z, at this point, I would rather play Diablo Immortal than play Magic Legends. Wow, that's harsh. Jason.
To call it $23.99 comes in with a sports bomb, which I'm all in favor of. A bomb to the 49ers. You traded away 3 first-rounders, could only move up to number 3. That's a paddling. Especially when you draft a quarterback who's probably going to be terrible anyway, because you're getting the third best one. So, yeah.
They did.
Question of the week.
They did their question of the week, and I kept it up here because we're almost there anyway.
Okay, whatever. All right. Favorite video game movie is Mortal Kombat. It stays pretty close to the source material, a big factor on how I judge video game adaptations. It has a good mix of action and humor. Can't really go wrong with that. I've talked about that one before. When I think you asked me that question a while back, I said Mortal Kombat was really good. So
go ahead, Q.
The new Mortal Kombat looks good.
Yeah.
Frosty at Magic Man. Correction regarding Path of Exile 2. It's not even close to being released. A quote from developers, we are unlikely to start a beta for Path of Exile 2 until 2022 at the earliest. And I'm pretty sure it won't be Magic Legends type of beta.
Yep, absolutely right. And it's something we said earlier, that they have alluded to 2022, but really didn't get confirmation of it until now. Sujet A-Bomb to Game Informer. Agent 47 is top 3 at least. That is why print media is dead. I don't think that's why print media is dead, but I absolutely...
That one thing killed print media.
That one top 10 list, but I absolutely agree. Our question of the week last week, speaking of Hitman, what's your favorite video game movie adaptation and why? Yami Kami says, question of the week, oh boy, we're opening a can of rotten worms now, are we? First answer, Castlevania Netflix anime adaptation, which is not a movie, so moving on. I would almost pick the first Resident Evil movie. The story is non-existent, but at least it's a good action horror flick that captures the claustrophobic zombie survival somewhat competently. However, I will not give that honor to a film of Paul Anderson. Tomb Raider does have sexy Jolie, but not much else. Super Mario Brothers is a classic with a lot of nostalgic feeling attached to it, but has not much to do with Mario. Speaking of nostalgia, Pokemon, but I can barely remember those movies. In hindsight, I don't think that they were that good. Sonic the Hedgehog, good movie, I guess. Problem is, I've not seen it. Final Fantasy Advent Children, maybe? Not to be confused with Enemy Spirit. I think you mean Spirits Within.
Spirits Within, yeah.
The story is meh, but it looks awesome. So yes, I guess I'll just settle for this one then. All right, you could do worse than Advent Children. You could definitely do worse than Advent Children. Go ahead, Jason.
Ragerty says, question of the week, the one that always stands out is a 90s Street Fighter. It's so full of good one-liners. The best one being Chun-Li telling Bison that her village fought back against him before he was a general and succeeded, but at the cost of him killing her father before running away. He responds with, I don't remember that. And she replies in shock, you don't remember? He says, for you, the day Bison graced your village was the most important day of your life, but for me, it was Tuesday.
Such a great quote. We talked about that last week.
It's a great quote, but that whole movie was...
Yeah, oh, absolutely.
I saw part of
you
it.
watch it for the one-liners, not for the plot.
Yeah. The other is Final Fantasy VII Advent Children, although I always found the remnants of Sephiroth, the 3 silver-haired guys in the movies, odd. In the one scene, they're talking about mother, and one says, don't cry, Yazoo, and then 2 seconds later, he cries. When I say cry, he looks down and wails softly. It was weird. Thinking about it now was probably due to bad dub.
Could have been.
We actually watched that just a little while, a few months ago. We watched it again, and it's held up pretty well for 15 years.
Yeah, I mean, as long as you don't look too closely lore-wise, yeah. Go ahead, Q.
RS Jabber. Question of the week: Prince of Persia: The Sands of Time, 2010. Jake Gyllenhaal fits the role pretty well, in my opinion, and the whole film has beautiful visuals. I might be biased because I love the old trilogy by Ubisoft. Series forgotten and buried in the sand, but maybe for the best.
Yeah, I can't. I love the Prince of Persia.
I just steered clear of the Prince of Persia movie.
I love Prince of Persia games and everything, but Jake Gyllenhaal just kind of nah. Kitsuruha. Question of the week, hands down, has to be Ready Player One. I'm amazed anybody put this here. That generally was not received very well.
Yeah.
Granted, not one game, but a little bit from everywhere, retro and movies. Most do a terrible job of catching a franchise when it's one specific one anyway, but it doesn't mean some can't enjoy them. I actually still haven't seen that. I've read the book, but I did not watch the movie yet, so I may have to pick that up.
All right movie.
Yeah.
Like, it's something you can just sit and watch, but like you're not really looking for anything deep or impressive or whatever from it. It's one of those things you watch because you're like, oh, I get that joke. I get that. I get that. Like, it's one of those things.
So it looked like it was just fan service in the movie.
Go ahead, Jason.
It was.
That's almost what it's. Yeah. Box says, question of the week. I'm biased because I grew up with the games, but I really enjoyed the Warcraft movie overall. I got the novelization for it about a month after buying it on Blu-ray, and it revealed a good amount of plot changes compared from the movie and the games. I don't agree with some of them, but overall I'd say it was a solid movie for me. I still sort of hope one day the director can still make the trilogy he wanted so we can get some Illidan and Arthas in live-action form.
Yeah, I said that.
And actually, go ahead.
I'm just saying, I said that last week, that like if you take it in a vacuum, it's not a terrible movie. It's when you start comparing it to the lore that's already available to all the players that watch the movie that are like, no, that's not how this happened. No, this is bad. Like, in a vacuum, it's an okay movie.
I was just going to say, I now remember what the actual best video game movie was. It's actually a few movies they made based off it. Movies they made based off of the Lord of the Rings Online. I thought those were really good.
Oh, I totally forgot about those.
Yeah.
I totally forgot about those.
My favorite is Detective Pikachu, by the way.
Yeah, that was pretty good too. Yeah.
It was, I think, a really good video game.
Terra Nova saying I would go with Silent Hill. That was a good one. Old Glory saying Max Payne was okay. Yeah, but wasn't that Wahlberg and not the better of the two actors? The Max Payne movie?
I don't know.
Well, now we're gonna look it up.
A general rule, I don't watch a lot of video game movies.
Ninja Panda says
pretty bad, but
Ninja Panda says the worst was Dragon Ball Evolution, which again I say go watch Doom.
Yeah, it was Mark Wahlberg. It was Mark Wahlberg.
Dragon Ball Evolution was just wrong on so many levels. Although it's
all right.
Less of a video game movie and more of a anime live action movie.
I like the Resident Evil movies. They're terrible, but I love them. They're terrible, but I love them.
Funny story. We went to see the first Resident Evil movie with Aaron Yod's wife. Yeah. Well before they had met. It was her and her sister, and we went to see it. And I guess maybe they didn't expect it to be kind of like, they're not really great with horror. Mm-hmm. So by the end of the movie, they were just both kind of squished up against me.
They're terrible, but I absolutely love them. Question of the week this week, kind of stemming on the Super Mecha Champions, like a okay game or even a game you really, really like with terrible monetization. I want to know, tell us the free-to-play game that you've played the most but refuse to ever spend money in. And why? Could be mobile, could be PC, whatever. Free-to-play game you've played the most, but you absolutely refuse to spend money in. And why? Let us know in the comments below. Make sure you leave your weekly bombs. D-bomb for something good, A-bomb for something bad in the world of gaming or just life in general. And if you've got a question for the panel, throw it down there, and we'll include it on next week's show. Until then, Q, where can everybody find you? Jason.
On Twitter at Winter Informal, streaming at twitch.tv/Jason Winter.
I'm Mike Byrne. You can follow me right there at Twitter at MagicMan1, but more importantly, follow at MMO Bomb so you get tweets on all the latest streams, games, interviews, giveaways, and more. Until next time, gang, stay safe. We'll see you on the servers.